Welcome to Sexy Boss Interviews with Heather Havenwood, www.sexybossinc.com.
Welcome to the Sexy Boss interview series. I'm your host, Susan Bratton. I'm the CEO of Personal Life Media, and I was lucky enough to be interviewed by Heather for sexyboss.com. And it's my privilege to interview Heather for you today so that you can get to know the woman behind Sexy Boss, what her mission is, and exactly what she means by being a sexy boss. So let's get started. First of all, hello, Heather, and welcome to your own interview.
Thank you, Susan, for that. Yes, I'm here in my own interview. I love that. Thank you.
It's really fun, and it's been a joy to prepare this for you because I'm completely 1000% behind the concept of being a sexy boss. I think a woman in her own life force, in her own power, in her own belief in herself is an unstoppable thing of beauty. And I love that you are empowering other women to feel that in their bones and to just go out into the world and to be a woman and be successful in business. And I like some of the things you say, like grow a pair, stop your whining, get in the game. You know, you play a little bit of tough love, which for us as women, we need to hear. I think one of the main tenets of your whole process is that we are given so many excuses. And I know excuses, it's not your fault that you're not successful. And in being a sexy boss, what you're doing is saying to women, it's completely within your power to be successful. And there are a couple of big things that you want women to know. And those are really the peers of being a sexy boss, the thing that holds it up as a platform for success. And I want to start there with what your vision is for what a sexy boss is and isn't. So can you just start with that?
Yes, thank you for that intro. I think my vision of being a sexy boss is the woman who, there's a friend of mine who actually created a nonprofit to go out to South Africa to create money for wells. I mean, that sounds so small. And now she flies to South Africa twice a year to make sure, and she gets out there and actually helps them, get out there and create the wells. That's a sexy boss to me. She actually owns 5 Bikram studios here in Austin. That's a sexy boss to me. Someone that says, you know what, I choose to create my own life right now, no matter what the situation is, and get out of a bad relationship. That's a sexy boss to me. Anyone that makes a decision, a woman that says, I'm not going to live by someone else's rules and expectations. I'm going to create my own life as I want, no matter what the situation is. No matter what social norms say, no matter what I'm supposed to do or should do or can't do, whatever that is, that to me is a sexy boss. There's another woman that I don't even know her name. However, I saw her online in a video where she was this unbelievable Krav Maga in jiu-jitsu, and she was just beating up on this guy in like a in an actual a ring. It was set up, and to me, that was a sexy boss because everyone thought she can't do it. She's a woman. He's 10 times bigger than her. And she was playing the game of the rules of that and beating him. And it was more about the fact that she was willing to step into the ring. And that's, to me, a sexy boss. A woman who's willing to step into the ring. That's who you are. That's a lot of my friends are. They're willing to step in the ring and say, I'm not going to have to play the rules by what I think they are. I'll play by their rules and I'll beat them. Or at least I'll play. And I think that's the missing element. A lot of women, I hear things like, well, they're not playing fair. Or I don't like that rule. Or I don't want to do it that way. It's like, the rules are in place. There's already business rules. So learn how to play them, but don't go in a way where you have to be a man. Be your feminine self and allow that to come out. And that to me is a sexy boss.
So I'm going to repeat what I heard you say and kind of net it out to 3 things. The first thing I heard you say was that a sexy boss is a woman who creates her own life and has the freedom to do what she chooses and to create the life she wants with the intention of doing so. She has a belief in herself that she can do that. That's number 1. Freedom, that you have the freedom and the power to do it. The second thing that I heard was that you can play by another team's rules and best them if you know what those rules are. And in this particular case, we're talking about a woman understanding what the rules are in a man's world in business, and not only playing by them, mastering them and kicking some major booty with the knowledge that you have of those rules. Those were two. And the third one was a woman who feels confident in her own skin, that the sexiness isn't using your sexuality to get ahead. It's actually the opposite of that. It's fully owning your skills as a woman and using them, not sexually, but that the sexiness is actually your life force, your power, your belief in yourself. That's the sexy part. Did I get that about right?
You nailed it. Yes, thank you. Perfect. And I want to go into the sexy part for just a minute, if you don't mind.
Please. No, I'd love to.
Yeah, the sexy part, and you and I have talked about this, and you're amazing, you're beautiful, and you're one of the most sexiest women I know. But it's not about, when I say you're sexy, that doesn't mean you're coming with a short skirt. You could, but you're not coming with a short, that's not slutty. Sexy and sexuality, and why that's important in the business world. I think women feel that sexy should be at home and sexuality should not be in the workplace. It's a sexuality, not the action of it. So sexuality and the life force is our life force. There's all kinds of different research on that. One of them that I always go back to was just Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill in Chapter 7, Sex Transmutation. It's the energy of the sexuality, the sexual energy transmuting into charisma and power, and women, we try to suppress it. Our society tries to repress it. I remember an ex-boyfriend who said to me all the time, you know what, Heather, you could be sexy in a burlap sack. And at the time I didn't understand that, and now I understand. He was saying that who you are as a high sexual energy, no matter what you're wearing. It's not about what you're wearing or how your shape of your body. It is about who you are and owning that and choosing to own that part. And that's the part that I want women to understand, that it can be in both worlds, and you can bring that into the world of business.
So I want to talk a little bit about just the whole sexy boss empire that you're creating. You have a mission to empower women to have the life, the freedom, and the self-confidence to play in a man's world and to be financially successful. That's what you're doing here at a bottom line. It's giving women a lot. When I read Sexy Boss, your new book, how the empowerment of women is changing the rule book for sex, money, and success. When I've listened to the interviews that you do, when I've looked at the work that you'll be doing in your mastermind, because you've given me advanced information, on everything that you have put together, your weekly wire, the email series, what you're essentially doing, I think, is it's almost like this is the advice your parents should have given you if they were savvy, successful business professionals. But not everybody had that person who loved them unconditionally, believed in them unconditionally, and knew how the game was played to give them the answers to how to go out and be successful. And what I see you doing is kind of a 360-degree envelopment of a woman who wants to come into the Sexy Boss world, go to your live events. I think you've produced over 350 live events in your career already?
Correct, yes.
So your live event's going to be awesome. So you're putting together live events, you're putting together masterminds, you've got the emails to keep people constantly in touch with this big audacious goal of their success on a, every other day basis. You've got the interviews so that you can get good models, because if you haven't had good models, you just don't know what you don't know. And I feel like with all of the things you're building, all of the facets of Sexy Boss, that someone could come into your system, your program, your strategy, and really get those things that nobody tells you. You kind of graduate from college. If you're lucky to have gone to college, you graduate from college and you go into the workforce and you don't understand the rules and you're not really totally confident and you get afraid to to take control. You feel like you're still learning. And men go in there a lot of times and they don't care if they're wrong or they're idiots or they don't know what they're doing. They're not afraid to make the mistakes sometimes or to go for it like women are. I don't know why that is, but for some reason, the way we're raised, it's almost like we ask for permission instead of forgiveness, and men ask for forgiveness instead of permission. And what you're doing is you're like our mom, our dad, our business coach, our female woman advocate, the big sister we never had, who will give us the rules, give us the permission, tell us how the game is played, and explain to us that it's our responsibility to take responsibility for ourselves. It's like the tough love mother, all those things. Is that how you would have envisioned what you're doing yourself? Is that kind of because that's what I'm getting out of it.
Absolutely. I mean, you nailed it, and thank you for that. And one of the things you said is like the big advice, the big sister, the advice the mom you never had. For me, I had a mom, but she wasn't really around, and so I had what I call mini moms. Mini mentors along the way, many men mentors along the way, and I guess this is a collaborative. I can't really have one person that I would say I learned everything from. I would say there's 20, 25, maybe even 100 mentors, major mentors of my life that I've hit along the way and that have touched my soul. And then one of the things you talked about was that distinction between college and then going out in the real world. And if you look at how we're here in America and most of what I call society or other countries that have college and things like that. So when I talk about that is the distinction between going from college to the company world, like that distinction you talked about.
Yeah.
Why is it that men go out there and promote themselves and women don't normally? I'm going to kind of generalize for a minute. We always have the exception. So why that is because we're taught to be, as women, good little girls, as I was, right. Good little girls, follow the rules, don't talk back to the teacher, don't ask questions, and definitely do what they say, make good grades. And a lot of women are valedictorians of high schools and colleges around the world. They're great at following the rules and making sure they win that game. The problem is that we move into business and the game changes, and they forgot to tell us there's new rules. And for some reason, a lot of men, either they have the mentors or other men, or it's innate in football or different kinds of athletic.
I think athletic teams really help men.
Yeah, I think they really do, because they have to go out there and there's a different rule book when you're on the field.
Yeah. So I want to say something about that too. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think it's a really important distinction. So what I think it is about that, Heather, is that when you're playing team sports, you have permission to play as a team and beat the crap out of each other at the same time. That level of that dichotomous socialization that is inherent in team sports, which is more of a man's world. I personally never played team sports. A lot of my girlfriends never did. It doesn't call to a lot of women. It calls to many. But that dichotomous reality, being able to manage both beating people, running past your teammates while supporting them at the same time, that is what happens in the corporate world. And that's where women, the guys run past us.
Absolutely. But with women in the business world that I've seen, they feel like they have to be a certain way about it. They have to be like a bitch or mean or something. Mm-hmm. And if you look at a man who's competitive, like your example, the competitive sports, they can beat them and then go, hey, what's up, man? Let's go for a beer later. Yeah. And still have this great relationship. And that to women is almost kind of weird. And I don't understand, how do you do that? How do you be beating them and then like hang out together? And so it's that kind of dichotomy that's so frustrating with women when they go out into the real world. I know for myself, my first corporate job in the it was a big 500 corporate job. I didn't have my college degree yet, and I chose to go the corporate route versus becoming a waitress. I didn't want to become a waitress. I'm horrible at being a waitress, just to let you know. And I decided to do that. And of course, I was young and I was cute. And so they, of course, were like, well, you should be in customer service. That's what you should do. And I said, no, I want to be in outside sales. And they go, oh, well, you can't do that. The average person's 45 and they're men and you would die. And I'm like, great, I'll die then. So this one particular sales guy, I think the sales manager, he said, okay, sure, if you want to die, here, try it. If you don't make your numbers in 3 months, you're out anyway. I said, okay. So there I go, and there I went. And 4.5 years later, in that same position, I was number one in the entire country out of all 10,000 reps in the smallest market possible. Why? Because I learned the rules of the game and I played those rules. I didn't really know any other way. No one told me I'm not supposed to. And it was exactly what you just said. We were a team, but yet we were competing with each other every day. And I had to learn how to compete, but then be part of the company team. And so that was the one piece I took that into business and what I want to teach women, that you don't have to be a certain way to learn the rules and master the rules. You don't have to be bitchy or mean or ugly. You just be a sexy boss. And that's what it's all about.
A lot of people have called you a lot of different things in your past, speaking of your past, and they're not all bad.
Well, some of them are.
Somebody that I know called you an icon creator, and I've heard you referred to as the wizard behind the curtain, because for many years, you were the person behind the famous person, whether it was Tom Antian or Perry Belcher, or Tony Blake, David Lakhani, Robert Shemin. There's so many people that you've been the woman behind the guru, making them successful. And it just really struck me that that's what you're doing again with Sexy Boss. You're an icon creator again for the women who are coming into your program. And you're just now taking all the things you did to learn how to turn these men into gurus. Mm-hmm. You're now bringing that to women through Sexy Boss, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. And one thing I want to say about that is those, Tommy and Tam, Perry Belcher, I personally was not behind them, but I definitely met them along the way. But when I met them and all those wonderful guys I've met along the way, I was always the girl behind the scenes. I was never up front, and I didn't have my own platform, as they called it, because really at the beginning of when I got into this industry in 2001, it was more about I wasn't allowed to. I mean, I honestly was told, well, women can't sell, or women are not good speakers. I mean, these are words I was told because I kept asking. I want to go on stage. I want to help women do this. I want to help people. No, you can't. That's a man's job, believe it or not. And if you look at the speaking industry in general, most of them are men. And so I decided to take what I call the wizard behind the scenes look and say, okay, I'll just make them great. And I will, make money off of making them amazing. And so that's how I started in this industry, was making other great speakers better, or helping them with marketing, or helping them with anything in branding and creating what.
You have been listening to Sexy Boss Interviews with Heather Havenwood, Chief Sexy Boss. Go to www.sexybossinc.com for more information and education to empower you to be a smart, sexy, and rich sexy boss.